Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott. Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Learn more about the Experience community at our website, local.theexperience.video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Experience is brought to you each week by these great sponsors. The Aspects of Aging weekly talk show with Christine A. Smith. Each Monday at noon Central, Christine hosts unscripted conversations with experts. Learn more at agingbetternetwork.com. Showing Up, Perspectives on Cancer, and the in-person event October 3rd through 5th in Garrison, New York. Contact Russ Hedge to learn more. Email russ@russhedge.com. James Reed and Associates, protection with trusted insurance solutions, specializing in nonprofits, ministries, small business, and personal lines of coverage across the Northwest. Online, jamesreedagency.com. 10D Tech delivers fast, friendly, and fully managed IT services for Oregon businesses. Call 541-250-3492 and online at 10dtech.com. And now let's get on with the show.
Yes, let's get on with the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. So glad to have you all here today. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing good. My wife has been in Oregon the last 2 weeks, and she flies back into Love Field this evening. So I'm looking forward to going and picking her up and bringing her back to Waco.
That is always a good thing. You know, my beautiful wife and I are not apart too often, but when she's gone to visit her sisters or things, and they've had like a sister thing and they're gone for a weekend, I'm kind of at loose ends without her around. So so I'm always happy when she gets back. Well, I tell you, we just want to welcome everybody to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. We're here at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time or 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time every week. And we also, after we go live, this sits on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. LinkedIn and YouTube forever, Facebook for 30 days, and then it converts to audio podcast. So you can go to Spotify and listen to us if you haven't had a chance to watch. Please, we encourage you today to engage and let everybody know what's going on because people are still sleeping. Wake them up, tell them to share this and tag their friends, and you do the same. And also, you can go for more information about Scott and I to local.theexperience.video today, and you can find out about all that we're doing and all the experience shows and everything going on. So we're just so thankful for that. One last thing I just want to say real quick, Scott, is again, just a huge shout out to our sponsors, all listed at the bottom. We are so grateful. Don't forget the Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer Conference, October 3rd through 5th. I will be there smiling and adding joy and wisdom. So if you want to meet me in person, come to the conference. Also, 10D Tech and James Reed Insurance, and of course, Christine Smith, Aspects of Aging. So great.
Yeah, absolutely. I encourage people to go to local.theexperience.video. And if you would like to help support Russ in his trip to get to Perspectives Showing Up on Cancer, or Perspectives on Cancer in Garrison, New York, there's a link right there that you can click and think of it as a tip jar. If you like the shows that Russ is doing, that I'm doing, and every Monday and Thursday, Russ has Marketing with Russ, aka hashtag Russ Selfie. Thousands of people have been in Russ Selfies. And then the Experience Local, Believers in Business, we do that on Monday. It's also broadcast on 2 radio stations in Oregon. Then we have this show every Wednesday and Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock Pacific, 6 here Central Time, is Russ Reels, always a lively panel discussion. And I encourage people to tune into that. And then the final show would be the Waco Experience, An American Story, which broadcasts here in Waco on KBBW and is released as a podcast everywhere.
Well, and I really want to encourage people, especially in Scott's area, to tune in to the Waco Experience. I want to tell you, we have an amazing Russ Reels Live on abundance versus scarcity with some of my favorite people, including D. Scott Smith, who starts the show off. And it is going to be on this Thursday 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. You definitely do not want to miss that one. And so we're so thankful. Scott did mention this, and I put it up, but I'm going to tell you again, besides being sponsor supported, there's all the sponsors. We are listener supported. So not only can you go there and sponsor my trip to New York, which gets you a live stream sponsorship and a digital ad, a $700 value when you just pay $150 for that sponsorship. You can give anything you want towards the production these shows, and that's what the listener supported is all about every week. So thank you for that. And with that, I'm just going to jump to one last thing here. Going to be out soon. Life Happens and Then You Choose. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you, I'm really excited about this book, everybody. My daughter, my beautiful daughter, told me last night after reading 2 chapters, she was so energized and fired up about life. She was ready to take on the world. So
there we go.
There you go. I'm hoping that that's the same effect that everybody has. You're excited. You learn a little bit more about me, a few stories in there. It's going to be very exciting. So that's coming out the first week of November for sure. So look for that, and very excited about that. So
yeah,
all right.
I encourage people, go to local.theexperience.video. You'll scroll down. You'll see Russ's current book, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. Click on that. It'll take you to Amazon. Click on Russ's name. That's going to take you to his author page, and then click follow. And when Life Happens and Then You Choose is released, you'll get a notification, and you can be one of the first on your block to get the book.
Yes, very exciting. Very exciting. Okay, with that, we got to get Denise in the room. We're going to talk a little AI this morning, Scott. And,
yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yes. All right. Here she is. Drum roll. Brrr, Denise. Woohoo.
Hey, Denise. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you guys. Thank you for having me on here.
Well, you know what? I love that smile in the morning. You're always so bright and cheery. Appreciate that. And you've got a lot going on as a wife and a mother and a business person and life and all that stuff going on. But why don't you just give us a little bit of insight so people know who in the world is Denise? What are you up to?
Well, let's see. That's a huge minefield, right? Because I could go on for days. But essentially, I am, like you said, a mom, a wife, and a business owner. I spent over 30 years in sales, traditionally in the new technology space. I sold AI, automation, machine learning solutions. And then about 3 years ago, I ventured out and started my own business. Originally, it was Success with AI, which was at that moment I wanted to educate and really share the value and the benefits of leveraging AI, but still retaining that human factor. But what I realized when I started that business was I did not have a LinkedIn presence. I was not a thought leader, and no one wants to be educated. So that went south. Right. And I thought, okay, now how can I use my passion and excitement for AI and my success with sales? And I really created my Celevators program, which is really helping sales organizations to adopt and adapt to AI, which is really only about 10% of my business. The remaining 90% is really focused on how to engage in a way from a human perspective so that we go back to selling as humans and less about automating. So I love automation. I love AI. I think there's a great place for it, but I also think that it's super important for us to be the differentiators as humans. So that's what I spend most of my time doing now. I take on small and large clients. I have a really exciting client right now that I've been working a lot with, in the carbon space. So I get back to giving an impact in the world. So anyway, that's me in a nutshell. Not so super exciting, but yeah, that's me, Denise Murtha.
I love the tools that automation, AI, machine learning can provide. And I'm reminded of an essay that Andy Rooney wrote many years ago, and people may remember A Few Minutes with Andy Rooney on 60 Minutes, and kind of some humorous essays. But one of the ones that he talked about was his journey as a writer. When he started writing, he used a manual typewriter, and then he graduated to an electric typewriter, and then a word processor, and finally a computer. And he had a great technology, or a great comment about the technology. And he said, computers make writing easier, but they don't make writing better.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would agree.
So get your perspective on that with AI.
Well, I mean, think about this. That's now we have Chat GPT, which, by the way, I know we've talked about this before. Everyone thought AI really was launched when we saw Chat GPT being released, right? Which I think was in the fall of 21, if I'm not mistaken.
That's about right. Yeah.
But in actuality, I mean, we've had AI, even the first instance of AI was back in 1956-ish. Don't quote me on that exact date. And it was with MIT, IBM, and a third. I can't remember who the third entity was, but we've been embarking down this AI journey for a really long time. That was just the first time that we introduced it to the masses, right? I mean, I'd been selling automation and machine learning and then AI for quite a bit of time. But I think when people were introduced to Chat GPT, it was like, okay, now I can use this for efficiencies. How can I have it help me be faster or maybe even better at writing? And so most people in the beginning, I would hope that's changed a bit, but in the beginning, they would put in their input and then whatever the output was, they would copy and paste it. And that was what they wrote, right? I'm hoping that we see more and more people leveraging it less for actual content like that, but rather using it as an idea generator. So I echo that sentiment that Andy Rooney had, because I do believe that what we write, when we engage with people, even if it's in writing, they want to get to see us, and they won't see us if we're just copying and pasting something from Chat GPT or any other AI solution out there. It's really about injecting that human quality of ourselves into our content when we're writing. So that resonates with me.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's a great tool. Just like Scott said, the typewriter was a great tool, but you have to use it properly. And I think that what I love about it is you can ask it to do what you want it to do. So like if you are writing something, you can ask it to spell check and check the punctuation. And I do all my spell checks and stuff on it. It's really simple because it goes through and it tells you if you want information on something or you're looking for good quotes for something, it will just bring them to you. It speeds things up and it helps you with research and all of that. There's so many great things that you can use ChatGPT or so many other amazing AI things. So, where businesses are moving, the smart businesses that are leveraging AI, Denise, what are they doing beyond the writing? How are they utilizing AI to really be a benefit for their business?
Let me qualify something though. This statement is AI is not just automation is not AI. And a lot of the tools that we're using in businesses today are definitely more automation focused with less AI. But whether it is AI or automation, we'll just say new technologies, and that way it'll embody all of those potential types of solutions. But ultimately, it's really about most certainly automating or eliminating some of these mundane tasks for yourself. Like, if you've got, for example, we'll talk about sales because that's my area of specialty, right? When we talk about automating or leveraging new technologies for the sales process, it's really how do I get more information out to the masses? So maybe a mass email would really help, and putting emails into or DMs into a workflow process. So we know that nurturing has to occur, whether lead nurturing or client nurturing, it has to happen because we as people need multiple touch points. And by the way, what used to take 5 to 8 touch points to engage someone now takes 15 to 20 touch points. So in that instance, leveraging a technology that allows you to get that to execute on those touch points, but not take you away from the higher value activities, like actually engaging in conversation, or, there are a multitude of different things that we could consider higher value activities. Leveraging for those mundane tasks, for the things that don't take a lot of thought process, that don't have to be uber personalized, those are where you should leverage technologies for. Also, using it for ways to do better research, to prepare you for conversation, to figure out how to actually when you're engaging with those higher value activities, do it in a much more personalized way. I think those are the two key ways that we should be using two key ways that we should be using. Sorry, it's early. That we should be using new technologies to help us, right? More efficiency, or to really all together, but to either do something that we shouldn't waste our time on doing, or to give us more information so that we can really do a better job when we have to engage.
I was thinking of, I've been reading in Proverbs, and you just reminded me when it says, there are 2 ways to use AI, yea, 3, which will improve the efficiency of your business. So there we go. There's always one more thing to do. One of the, and I love the research idea. And one of the things that I found with the AI tools that are out there, like the audio version of ChatGPT, which I use on the phone when I'm in the car to find out things, or essentially even just take notes about stuff that I'm thinking about, it's making possible what I dreamed about as a kid when we watched Star Trek, and they said computer, and then gave it some questions, and it parsed through huge amounts of data. And we can get that data today. So if you're using something like Google Analytics or any of these types of programs, that's going to get lots of information about how people are interacting with your business. We don't have necessarily the time or the capacity of the tools to find the patterns, to find the connections, to find the correlations. But I can put that into an AI tool and find things that are important, and it'll allow me to connect to the right people.
Correct. It'll help you get good messaging, decide who your personas are that you even need to engage with. I will tell you, one of the things we didn't even cover, though, Scott and Russ, is that it will, for us as business owners, it will help us to fill the gap in the areas that we're really not good at, because there are tools like assistants, virtual assistants. There are tons of other solutions, tools that help you build websites, right, from scratch. There are a multitude of tools that you can leverage that you might need, that you might actually put in a person in place of. Those are great to use when you are still building your business and you can't afford to pay someone, but it's always better to, when you get to a point where you can pay someone, to leverage someone in place of just that tool to do it. So I did want to mention that, because, you mentioned, we talked a minute about the research, but we did totally negate that there are other tools that do more than just research and improve workflow processes and take over mundane tasks. There are a whole set of solutions out there that will help you build your business. I just hate to reference those as those should be what you use. They're great to use when you're building, but not as great when you can actually pay for someone to fill those shoes, right?
Well, and I agree with that. Of course, I have the most amazing, I don't even call her my assistant. She's my teammate, because she does more than I do for my business. And it's nice to have an actual person to work with. But there are a lot of mundane tasks and things that it's great to use this for. I love the fact, the speed at which it works. So, for example, when I put in, who is Denise Murtha Bachmann on ChatGPT? Well, who is she? It says Denise Murtha Bachmann is a seasoned sales professional and entrepreneur with 30 plus years of experience in consultative and software AI sales. She has worked with large corporations, and goes on and on and on. What does she do now? She's the founder and CEO of Success with AI. It goes on to talk about you. And then I asked it what AI benefits for sales. And it talks about better lead generation and qualification, personalized outreach, sales forecasting accuracy, enhanced productivity, customer insights, 24/7 engagement, chatbots, virtual assistants, improved training and coaching, pricing and negotiation support, shorter sales cycles, a competitive advantage. So just like that, it spit out all of this information to me. All of that happened in seconds. So that is where,
and that's because you have a LinkedIn presence now.
Yes.
There you go. Yes. And so it's amazing how quickly you can get the information you need by utilizing that, right, Denise?
I mean, if you think about that amount of information, which that was interesting to hear because I hadn't ever done that and pulled that information myself from there. So that was very cool. Thank you for sharing that. But if you think about the amount of time it would have had to take you to write all of that stuff, you'd have had to go to LinkedIn, you'd have had to go check out my Instagram or Facebook, you'd have had to go look at the information within my LinkedIn profile and validate that I'd worked at these different places. And then you'd had to have gone to my website, and then you'd had to have looked at some of my videos. You mean you'd had to have, or my posts, right, to really understand what I talk about. You'd have had to do a lot of research, which in my mind would have taken you on average, if you would have just hearing all that you summarized, it would have taken someone like myself easily an hour to 2 hours to really refine all of that information into something so clean as what ChatGPT just generated. So now within seconds, you were able to get that data back and save and free up 2 hours of your time. Okay, so maybe not 2, but you get where I'm headed, right? Time.
Exactly. Yeah, and I just want to say that, this is another thing that I could give a real life example. I used to take about an hour to write my weekly newsletter, and now it takes me 10 minutes. Because what I do, it takes me, honestly, I'm a pretty fast writer. My newsletter is short, so it's like 2 pages. I can write it in about 5 minutes. But what I do is then I ask ChatGPT to find me good quotes. So I look at quotes, and I already have those quotes. That took me alone a half hour to 40 minutes just to find quotes for my newsletter. And then it takes me 5 minutes to just review it and make sure it's all good, because ChatGPT will edit the punctuation, all that, and make sure I haven't said anything totally stupid. And so then I'm done. And so it's so much fun, but I still write it, but it frees up that time for all the extra stuff that goes along with it. And it's so much of a blessing, that research and that information, all that kind of stuff. Scott, back to you. I kind of jumped in on you there.
I see Mike Asherbrainer's in here, and both he and I are betas with a group that is taking our information, books, articles, podcasts, and creating a digital version of us that people can interact with. And so I'll just put that in the link. The link in the chat. One of the things that you can use that for is pre-qualifying clients. And so I kind of like, Denise, to get your take on how we can use this to be more efficient in who we serve and how we serve our clients.
Yeah, so this is where it always becomes a contradiction. As much as I love AI, I think that, and new technologies, I think the challenge for me is, when do I actually use them in instances where I feel like that connection is more important? So when you're trying to qualify, I think maybe the first layer of screening, maybe, yeah. But then nothing works as well as whether or not you guys have a connection, right? Because I can tell you just from my engagement and my clients that I have, if it ain't jiving, it ain't working, right? And that jive you don't actually get whether there is one or not, unless you're actually on the phone with them. So I think using those types of technology, such as the one you mentioned, Scott, is really good to use if you know where your limitations are. Like, what is the intent of that solution? I always say this really loudly, which is, you should have an intent. Like, even when I got on this session today, I had an intent for what I wanted to accomplish, right? Which was just to show up as the best version of myself with as much information as I could around AI based on what you guys gave me, right? Think about that in how you engage with individuals, how you show up to a meeting. That should also be the same way that you engage with a new technology. What is the intent of that? And stay within those boundaries and recognize what you should leverage that tool for, and where it is really important for you to step outside that box and actually engage with that individual. So that was a really long-winded answer, not a solid answer for you, but to summarize really quickly, I'd say know your intent and make sure that you understand the negative implications if you don't engage and if you just allow the solution. And if you're okay with that, hey, more power to you, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the first time that we really started using ChatGPT, I had a couple of people come to meetings and they needed to present on something. And so they just stood up in front of everybody and they said, well, I wasn't sure 100% what to say. So this is what ChatGPT says about me and this topic. And they just read it. But it was funny because they were upfront about it. You know, they didn't say, oh, I made all this up, but this is really me. And this is what ChatGPT says about me. And I think that, you know, I believe the biggest fear, Denise, and we've talked about this before, everybody is just afraid with new technology that it's going to take over the world, right? They were afraid when the internet came in and Google and all that, it was going to take over the world. They're afraid with, you know, all the things going on. But the truth is, it still takes humans to drive everything that's going on. And we need to keep that personal touch and that human feel with it. Humans are the number one best place to go for whatever you're doing. Number two, help yourself out, and technology and AI can be a great and useful tool, but it's how you use it and what you do, right? Like you're talking about intentionality.
Yep. And I would say the reality is your job is, there are jobs that are going to be replaced by AI, but for all jobs that'll be replaced, there'll be more jobs that pop up, right? It is really about us just learning to adapt and adjust accordingly, right? And we've seen this throughout years of changes, the Industrial Revolution, when the computer launched, right? I mean, I remember when the computer launched, I was in college. I mean, the computer had been around for a long time, but email and the internet, right? That was really bigger when I was in college, when that came about. But it's always doom and gloom when we first are introduced to new things. And then once we learn more about them, how to leverage them, we also then realize that there are other things that we can do with them. That's what allows us to open up new jobs. So jobs will be taken, and you will be replaced in some instances, but that's okay because we'll find other things, other new jobs out there for us that'll be developed to support those new technologies. So I say, you know, understand that we're in this new age, this digital age that we've actually been in since 2020, really, when COVID hit. You know, we've been in this new digital age. Accept it, adapt to it, and find your new thing. Like, find what works for you, find how to become more efficient, find how to leverage tools that help you do better than what you were doing before, and allow you to show up as the best version of yourselves when you have to engage as a human. I mean, now you get to reduce that stress, do better at what you're doing by leveraging amazing solutions, and you get to show up as the better version of yourself in front of the people that it matters with.
That is so well said. So well said. Ben, you know what? We have a surprise. Dimitri is here. Again, grace upon me. Thank you so much, Dimitri. Come on in. How's it going, Dimitri?
Hey, everyone. It's going great. Thank you. How are you?
Good to see you there, Dimitri.
It is so good to see you, Dimitri. Hey, listen, if you could either move a little bit closer to your mic or whatever, so we can hear you a teeny bit better. Tell everybody who in the world is Dimitri and why he loves his friend Russ and is graceful upon Russ, who just told him to show up.
So, my name is Dimitri. I'm a computer scientist. I've been in the field for, a little over 25 years. I've been exposed to technology, the changes and such. And now I specialize in AI and automation, helping small, medium-sized businesses eradicate unintelligent, repetitive manual work from the knowledge work. So yes, I love this topic, and I love, helping people understand where we're going and why we're here.
Yeah, well, it is so great to have you here. And I just want to apologize for giving you a last minute heads up, but I'm so thankful that you're here because you're so knowledgeable on this subject. And Scott, I know you have a question for Dimitri.
Well, I was just thinking about, Denise, you were talking about Industrial Revolution, and Dimitri, I get your point, your thoughts on this as well. Change, it's natural for humans to resist change. And there's good reasons for that, right? Things work, and why throw them out? However, we after, I'll say post change, and I'll put this in the comment, post change, we don't want to go back, right? So pre-industrial revolution, if I needed a pair of shoes, it could take weeks for somebody to make me a pair of shoes. Now I can go down and I can get the shoe, and I can get the same shoes identical year after year because of the industrial revolution. And I see the same thing with the tech. You know, we didn't understand email. Now we can't live without it. It's on our phones, right? It's on our watches. It's everywhere. AI, yeah, we're afraid of the Terminator, but in reality, we don't want to go back to pre-AI time. So Dimitri, Denise, I'd love to hear your thoughts about how life evolves post change.
I'll leave that. Dimitri, I've been talking the whole time, so you take the lead on this.
Well, Scott, it's a great question. I think that one of the things that I have noticed when I started, I came into my career taking over infrastructures, computer systems, legacy systems. As a matter of fact, I started helping corporate world with dumb terminals, green screens, and so being able to see empower people with apps and empower people with technology that has been more democratized and has been accessible to other people. I think that's the biggest. That's one of the biggest things I've been able to see, the access, the fact that a lot of people still believe that IT is the technology is for the IT department. I think that's something that has completely changed. I think that we weren't expecting IT being a department back then where it didn't produce. It was actually, sometimes it felt like they were spending more money than they should have because it seemed like it was the one that didn't produce, but it flipped on us. Now it's the only one that's producing. So it's like it's crazy how things have changed. So I think, as you mentioned, we as humans need to remember this is the fourth industrial revolution. We cannot just assume that things are going to be simple, quick, and easy. I think one of the things that we need to lean on is the fact that we are humans. As humans, we have the ability for adaptation. That's the versus from the rest of the animal kingdom. And so I think that one thing that I'm very optimistic about is the fact that we have been conditioned to systems, cookie cutter educational systems, where we really couldn't go further than what we were exposed to or what we were offered. And I think that's one of the biggest, the biggest boom that I'm hoping that happens, the access to this technology to people everywhere in the world. People see TikTok as, something so horrible and so wasteful of time. But if you think about it, I'm a dancer. And I'm thinking, being able to produce things with your body, being able to produce things that you couldn't do before without having the people to back you up with the recording and stuff. I mean, it seems like a very small thing or a very superficial thing, but if you think about it, we're becoming creators. That's something huge that we weren't really before. That's something that I would like to emphasize because, see, we have over 100 billion neurons, in our brain, and all these systems were created in the same image, following the same neuroscience that we have understanding with our brain. These systems were made very similar. And these systems are made with our data. So instead of thinking that these systems are alienated, we got to remember where they came from, who made them, and how they're made of. And they're made by us, and they're made of us, from us. And so it's like something that we need to improve our relationship with technology. I think that's the first thing we need to do. I think we cannot approach change with fear. That's not a good attitude. I think we need to be open-minded to think, okay, what are the possibilities? What are the chances that this is going to be better? And I don't think enough people are talking about that. I think we have a fear bias, right? Just already because we are made so that we survive, but our brains are not made for us to be happy. They're just made for us to survive. So if we stay on that survival mode, guess what? AI is going to be a threat. AI is going to take us over, and that's the first. And we're going to lean on Hollywood to determine what we think about the future. But I think the future is so bright for everybody that hasn't had the chance to access information that is available and accessible to all of us. So I think it's going to be a great chance for all of us to have a chance to shine where we weren't able to do before. People in Guatemala, we have a lot of people that are young, and there's a lot of people that are getting involved with the technology and creation and production. So I think if we focus on the things that as humans we can do, collaborating with this technology, I think that we're entering a new world where we should learn to adapt, learn to be open, and be participants as opposed to being an audience. And I think that's what's going to create when we become
that is so good.
And when we do.
That is so good. I just want to say, engaging with technology. I mean, technology opens the door, so many possibilities and opportunities nowadays. And that's amazing and very well said, Dimitri. Hey, I want to, we're letting it go a little bit long today because of our discussion, but I need to get to the point where I start to wrap things up here. So I want to bounce back to Denise real quick. And Denise, I want you to give us your final thoughts, give us your gold nugget of the day, and let us know how people get in touch with you, because we definitely, this is an ongoing discussion. We'll have to do this again. And this next time I'll tell you guys ahead of time that we're actually going to do it instead of the day of. So Denise, take it away.
I think, I guess my parting thought, especially after Dimitri, right? I think really it is just always have your intent for why you want to leverage that new technology, and remember that the human is the differentiator. And so most certainly automate, leverage AI technologies where necessary, but also remember there's nothing like the connection that we as humans have with one another. So you can find me mostly here on LinkedIn. I'm here. I do my own shows on Wednesdays after this one. So you can find me once a week, at least on that. If you need me, DM me, engage in my content. Otherwise, that's where I am most of the time. So LinkedIn is the place to find me. That was it.
There you go. There you go. And of course, you're going to find Denise online right here at 8 a.m. PDT right after this show. So you want to check that out. Dimitri, take it away.
Yes, sir. So yes, same here. You can find me on LinkedIn. I create content regarding AI. Please come check it out. I like to take a different approach. Even though I'm an engineer, I think we can all help each other go through this phase, especially people in IT and especially people in business. We should all get together, share information, share our struggles, share our wins. I think that this is the time to collaborate, to come together as people, because this is a world challenge. And the more united we are, the more the more collaboration we get from everyone around the world. I think we can tackle this. We've done it before. Power in numbers. So I think I'm an optimist. I think that we've gotten this far, and there's so much more that we have ahead of us. So I'm very excited about where humans can take this, and maybe this is the change. Maybe this is the time for us to become better and to come united.
That is so awesome. So great. Well, Dimitri, thanks so much for jumping in. I'm going to say goodbye to you both on the screen, but hang tight in the green room as Scott and I wrap things up. We'll be right to you. Okay.
Good to see you, Dimitri, Denise.
Thanks, guys.
Always fascinating.
Well, oh my goodness. I'm so thankful for good friends who bring things together even when I make a mistake.
Well, we're all in this together, and that's what makes us human.
That's it. That's it. Well, you know what? The wonderful thing about all of this is, remember, everybody, AI is a tool, and human collaboration and working together is really what it's all about. Really coming together as people and using these tools to drive things to a better, for the better for us. Like Dimitri said, the future is bright. There's so much opportunity no matter where you are. So so thankful that everybody's here. Scott, I just want to remind everybody that we are here Wednesday, 7 a.m. PDT or 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time. We are also, after this show is over and it sits on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, it converts to audio podcast on Spotify. So if you don't have time to watch, listen. And like Scott said at the very beginning, don't forget, if you want more information on us overall, go to local.theexperience.video. And Scott, final thoughts.
Yeah, I just think learn, be engaged, connect with people like Dimitri and Denise, and follow them, connect with them on LinkedIn, read their posts, and learn how you can leverage the technology to make things easier in your business, to be able to help more people.
That's what I think. So with that, everybody enjoy your rest of your week and enjoy
the experience.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.